In this video, we're going to set up the skeleton animation. So to do that, we're going to select our skeleton enemy parent object. We're going to go into the sprite. With the sprite object selected, we're going to go to the animation view. From here, we're going to create a new animation. Head over to sprites, characters, skeleton, and we're going to create a folder in here called animations that will hold all of the animations for our skeleton. And let's call this first animation idle. With the sprites selected, we can then basically drag the idle sprites into the animation view. With that sprite selected, I find it's best practice to probably go into record mode, just so you know what you're working with and that you're modifying the animation here. And we'll select idle 0 through idle 28 and drag it in. Go ahead and stop recording. It's currently at 60 frames per second. You can see here he's going out of control there. Go ahead and set this to about 20, and that's going to give us a nice fluid motion. So he has just a nice breathing motion. Okay, so save your scene, and let's do the walk animation. Select the sprite, go to your animation view, idle. We're going to create a new clip, and this is going to be walk. And you want to make sure that you're saving this inside the animations folder. So by accident, I saved the idle outside of the folder. I'm just going to drag it in. Okay, with that sprite selected and we are on idle, we're going to switch to walk, and we can simply drag the skeleton walk animation directly into that slot. Skeleton walk, and here we go. So as you can see, we actually don't need to be in record mode. However, I've found that it keeps it consistent. So once we've done that, we can then say the walk is going to be about 20. Let's test that out. Maybe that's a little too quick. Let's go ahead and set it to 15 frames per second. Much better. All right, so 15 frames per second there. You can save this. We can close up this animation here. Make sure the sprite controller is inside the animations folder. And now that we have the animations sprite animated, or the animations of the skeleton are now animated, we now need to set up the behavior tree. So very similar to what we've been doing, if you select your sprite here, you always want to make sure this animator component is checked. Open up the controller by double clicking the sprite controller, and here we go. By default, it's going to be in the idle animation. Once it plays its idle animation, we would like to go to the walk animation. It will have an exit time, so it's going to play the full idle and then go to walk. From there, transition duration is 0 because we don't want to fade idle to walk. And then when do we go back to idle? Whenever we trigger idle, which is going to be when it's at its destination. So here we're going to have idle. Create a new parameter type of idle for a trigger. And here when we trigger it, we're going to say idle. And transition duration is going to be 0 and exit time is off. That way it instantly transitions from walk to idle. It's not going to wait for the animation to finish. Save your scene, and now we are ready to script the implementation, which we're going to be using our shared enemy class. I'll see you guys in the next video.